Om Tumeva Mata Cha Pita Tumeva Tumeva Bandhuscha Sakha Tumeva Vidya Dravinam Tumeva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Sri Dakshinamurti Sudeshikendram Dvaipayanam Sutrakritam Munindram Sri Shankaram Bhashyakritam Yatindram Maddeshi Namami Vidyai Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamsarishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyah Sarvopaplavarahita Prajnana Ganaha Pratyagarto Brahmaivahamasmi Om Prapannapari Jataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Jnana Mudraya Krishnaya Gita Mrutaduhe Namaha. Pranams everyone. We are in the second chapter, Sloka number 8. Nahi prapashyami mama punadhyad yacchokamuccoshanam indriyanam avapya bhuma vasapatnaruddham rajyam suranam api chadipatyam. So in this section, Arjuna had surrendered to Bhagavan. In the last sloka, sloka number 7, Arjuna had actually done a Sharanagati. He said, Karpanya dosho bhavat swabhavaha prichami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha yachreya syan nishchitam bruhi tanme sishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. So he has said, my intellect is completely deluded, and therefore I am surrendering on to you. Teach me which is the right path, which is definitely a good path for me. Now in this sloka, he wants to confirm to Bhagavan that he has surrendered completely. As I said, generally we do not do a complete surrender. It does not happen. We always do not trust the other person completely. Here he is confirming that to Bhagavan that he has surrendered completely, and not only that, as a Shishya, he also knows what he does not want. He is basically clarifying that he does not want certain things, and he is clarifying them. So here, what he is clarifying here is, he is saying that nothing in this world can take away his grief. He is right now in a state of sorrow where he says, nothing in this world can take away my grief. And he says, even if I am given a kingdom which is prosperous, which is unrivaled, or even if I become Indra, the ruler of Devas, I do not think that will solve the problem. No possession in this world will be able to take away my sorrow. That is what he is saying. Generally, what is our feeling? Our feeling is that money can solve a lot of problem. Possessions can solve a lot of problem. Power can solve a lot of problem. People around us will be, if we have enough people around us, problems can be solved. And let us take ourselves. If there is, let us take, there is a global government. There is only one government in the world, and we are made the prime minister of that particular, the government, which has got the whole world within us as a control. We can control the whole world with no opposition. And if the world itself is rich and prosperous and all means, because there are no neighboring countries, there are no enemies also. Or suppose we take over the Indraloka also. Suppose we have all the possessions that everybody in this world possesses. It all belongs to us. Everything that Ishvara has created, if we believe, if we think that everything belongs to us, even if we have all those things, one thing is for sure, none of the possessions, none of the power that we have will make us happy. And that is the fact. That is the truth that Vedanta tells us. That is the truth that Upanishads tell us. In this sloka as well, what it basically says is that the problem of samsara, whatever we have as a problem in our life, they cannot be solved by worldly accomplishments. And there is an Upanishadic mantra, Parikshya lokan karmachitan brahmano nirveda mayan nastya krita kritena tad vijñātam sa gurumeva avigachet samitpanam shrotriya brahmanishtam. Here it says, actually, this comes in the Mundaka Upanishad, where it says, Parikshya lokan karmachitan. A student having examined Parikshya lokan, examined the lokan, examined the world, karmachitan, which are achieved through karma. So all these things, possessions, whatever we can all achieve them through karma, through actions. Having examined the world which are achieved through karma, Brahmano nirveda mayan nastya krita kritena. A Brahmin, in this case a student, should come to nirveda. Nirveda means dispassion, vairagya. What it means is the unproduced. Nastya krita kritena. Nastya krita kritena means something that cannot be achieved through action is not possible through karma. What is nastya krita kritena? Moksha is something that we can achieve only, it cannot be achieved through action. So the unproduced is not possible through karma. Tad vijñātam sa gurumeva avigachet samitpanam stotriya brahmanishtam. So therefore what the student has to do to acquire this knowledge of the eternal, he must necessarily approach who gurumeva, a teacher, samitpanam, with samit, basically a sacrificial fuel. In those days they go with the samit in hand, because they may have to do some yajnas and homas, so they will have to go with the samit. Shrotriya brahmanishtam, a person who has learned the scriptures and established Brahman. So this is what Mundaka Upanishad also says. So this human problem of samsara can never be achieved through karma. We think if we accomplish this, we will be happy. If we think that when we get this, we will be happy. But if we actually achieve that also, there is always a question of contentment in life. So every human being should discover this fact, that human problem cannot be solved by worldly accomplishments. Human problem cannot be solved by material accomplishments. That if we tell others, it may not go in. They will have to discover it themselves. Each person will have to discover it themselves. The discovery of the problem of samsara is the first step, as I said. So one has to go through, to overcome this human problem, one has to go to the spiritual path. One has to take the spiritual path, one has to go to the spiritual goal. And going to a spiritual goal means one has to go to a guru. And one has to go to a guru, study, understand, assimilate, and then attain jnana. And as I said, the first step is discovering the problem of samsara. And some people discover the problem of samsara at the age of 20, some people discover it at the age of 30, some people discover it at 40, 50, whatever. Some people discover it at very late at the age of 80 or 90 also. And some people discover it even at the deathbed. They would think that at the deathbed they would say, I have wasted my life. Instead, if I had said Krishna Rama, I would have at least gained punya, which would have given me a better birth. Some people may not discover it at all. But in our culture, there is no problem, because even if we don't discover it in this life, there is always the next life to discover. But one day, everyone will have to come around to this, that none of my problems, human problems, can be solved by material accomplishments. The emotional problems cannot be solved by material accomplishments, and our problems are emotional only. As long as we have the basic needs of food, shelter and clothing, anything else is an emotional problem only. It's a problem of want. It's not a problem of need. It's a problem of want. So here Arjuna says, Nahi prapashyami mamaku nadyad. Nahi prapashyami. I do not see anything. I do not see anything yet apanudyat, that can remove. Apanudyat means that can remove. Yaschokam. Chokam. So mama apanudya, mama, we like to say mama shokam. Shokam mama. This sorrow of mine, my sorrow. I do not see anything that can remove my sorrow, this sorrow of mine. And how is this sorrow? How he defines this sorrow? Everybody goes through a sorrow. We also feel sad at times. But this shoka that is affecting Arjuna is explaining the intensity of the shoka. And he says, Uchoshanam indriyanam. Uchoshanam indriyanam means which weakens. Actually, Uchoshanam means actually burning. But here we can say weakens my indriyanam, my sense organs. It dries up all my organs. Sometimes when we are in deep sorrow, in deep grief, we would see that it has internally consumed us so much that we will feel all dried up. That's why sometimes people offer us some water to overcome that, because we would feel internally dried up. Remember, he talked about, already he had said, Sidanti mama gatrani. He had said that in the first chapter itself, when he had sat down. Well, the problem for us is Arjuna's sorrow is so deep. Our sorrow, even for a little sorrow, we get affected. Some people, even they get a little headache, they make such a big fuss. And not only it is their headache now, it is the headache of everybody around the home. So even to tolerate a small headache, we have problem. Arjuna's sorrow is even deep. And Arjuna is saying, I do not see anything that can remove this sorrow, which weakens all my sense organs. So Bhagavan could think, if you are very sad, Arjuna, take some wealth with you, take some kingdom with you, take some pleasurable things with you, you will feel you will be able to overcome the sorrow. So Bhagavan might say that. So Arjuna is clarifying here. Avapya bhuma vasapatna ruddham. Asapatna ruddham. Avapya bhumam asapatna ruddham. Rajyam suranamapi chadikatyam. Api avapya. Even after getting, avapya means getting, even after getting what? Bhumam. Bhumam means upon yet. Even after getting upon this yet, Rajyam, the kingdom. Even after getting this kingdom upon yet. And what sort of kingdom Arjuna is saying? Arjuna is giving some adjectives for the Rajyam, kingdom. He says, Asapatnam Riddham Rajyam. Asapatnam means unrivaled. There are no enemies. Riddham means prosperous. So he says, even if upon getting a kingdom which is unrivaled, which is prosperous, I do not see the sorrow of mine being removed. So I don't see the sorrow of mine removed even after getting an unrivaled, prosperous kingdom. So Bhagavan don't even offer that as a solution. Not only that, he says, Adhipatyam cha suranam. Even if I get the kingship over the gods, Adhipatyam. Adhipatyam means kingship, rulership. On who? Suranam, on the gods. This sorrow of mine will not go. So basically Arjuna is clear, nothing in this world can remove his shoka. So Arjuna has basically in this sloka said what will not work for him. He has already surrendered in the previous sloka, and in the previous sloka and before that sloka, in sloka 7 he had actually surrendered. Sloka 6 he had basically discovered, he had said that he is helpless, and in sloka 5 he already said he wanted to come out of samsara. So he had done all the 4 steps, and now he is ready to listen to Bhagavan, whatever Bhagavan says. So in the next sloka, sloka 9 and 10, basically it's a connecting sloka before Bhagavan starts giving the Upadesha. Bhagavan will start giving the Upadesha from sloka 11 onwards. But in 9 and 10, Sanjaya will explain Arjuna's mindset as to how Arjuna is. It's basically connecting slokas. So before we go there, we will do a small vichara on Adhikāritvam. See, when a person goes past the 4 steps, which is discovery of samsara, desire to come out of samsara, understanding that he is helpless, the understanding that he is helpless in getting it out of samsara and getting out of samsara by himself. Then 4 is surrendering to the Guru and Shastras. Only then he will be able to remove all the sorrow and attain moksha. But even to get to the stage where he is able to receive the jnanam and get the moksha, these are the 4 steps. But more than that, there is a mantra which says who is qualified to attain moksha. Adhikāritvam means qualification. Adhikari means qualified. Sometimes we use the word, in Tamil we say Adhikari. Adhikari actually means he is the qualified person. So in Shastra it means a qualified person who can take the benefit out of Vedanta or Gita. So only an Adhikari has got the qualification to receive this knowledge. As in, only if we have the qualification, the knowledge will be of use to us. So, anyone can read, but to get benefit, one must have qualifications. Many people would have read about philosophy, about counseling, but not all will be able to understand. Or even for that matter, even not all psychiatrists or counselors have their minds in order also. Because reading is one thing, internalizing is another. So in philosophy, for example, there are so many courses available across all the universities. But ours is also philosophy. But our philosophy is not about reading, it is about applying, it is about internalizing. Swamiji used to say a particular joke when he says, in United States, there are so many marriage counselors there. And the marriage counselors would be very expensive as well for all their sessions. You need to book their session well in advance. Some would be very, so busy that you may not get a a time or appointment for the next 6 months or so, and it's one session costs a lot of dollars, and that marriage counselor in themselves would be probably going through a difficult divorce of their fourth marriage. But that is how it is. So our Shastras are different. It says for us to actually have the benefit from the study, we should be qualified. And this qualification doesn't come out of degree or certificates. The qualifications are called Adhikāritvam. We have already discussed this in Introduction to Vedanta before. So for some of the people, there could be a kind of a repeat, but it's worth doing a quick recap on this. So we'll do a quick recap on Adhikāritvam. So there are basically 4 qualifications that have been called about by the Shastras. First is Viveka, then Vairagya, then Mumukshutvam, then Shakka Sampatti. These are the 4 qualifications. Viveka, Vairagya, Mumukshutvam and Shakka Sampatti. Viveka means discrimination. Discrimination. In Tamil we say Pirithu Ariyadal, Piritharidal, discrimination. Vairagya means dispassion. Dispassion. In Tamil, Vairagya means different. Some people use this term Vairagya for other purposes. They use Vairagya for Pidivadam. Here it does not mean that. Vairagya here means dispassion. Then Mumukshutvam means desire. Desire for moksha. And Shatka Sampatti. Shatka Sampatti means we can say discipline. So basically we can say these 4 qualifications are, to remember easily, we can say 4 Ds. Discrimination, dispassion, desire and discipline. So 4 Ds. Or we can say Viveka, Vairagya, Mumukshutvam and Shakka Sampatti. Now we'll go one by one. Viveka. Viveka means discrimination. Discrimination generally these days is used in the negative sense. They say racial discrimination, gender discrimination. So it's kind of used on a not so nice manner. So in the negative sense, it is used to refer to something which is where it can mean some favoritism is in place, or some partiality is in place. That is where we use the word discrimination. But the spiritual jargon of this word discrimination is that it is not seen in the negative sense. It means the sense of judgment. When we say discrimination, it means right judgment, a right understanding. That is called as discrimination. Discrimination also means, we can say, separation. When we have to separate something which has been mingled, we use the word discrimination. For example, rice and husk, they mix together. We have to spirit partal. We have to separate and see. So we have to separate and see, discriminate what? We have to see what is satyam, what is asatyam, what is truth, what is a lie. Similarly, when we have to discriminate between what is dharma, what is adharma. So we always say dharma adharma vivekam. Then we have to see what is good, what is bad also. That is also an ability to discriminate what is good for us, what is bad for us. Now here in this context of Vedanta, what is the discrimination or the separation that we have to do? Between what and what? Here, according to Tattva Bodha, which is also another Vedantic text, we call this as Nitya-Anitya Vastu Viveka. Nitya-Anitya Vastu Viveka. Understanding what is anityam. Anityam means impermanent. And what is nityam? Nityam means permanent. So we have to discriminate between what is permanent and what is impermanent. So the differentiation of the impermanent and the permanent, or we can say the differentiation of the ephemeral Ephemeral and eternal. What is ephemeral? What is eternal? That discrimination we have to do. And how are we to understand this? See, it means Nitya and Anitya is mingled. When we have to differentiate, only when it is already together. If it is already separate, we don't need to discriminate. We don't need to differentiate. So, and here our Shastras says Viveka is a sadhana. Sadhana means it's an activity. We have to do this activity, or we have to cultivate Viveka. It is a sadhana, which means over a period of time only we will be able to discriminate between what is permanent and what is impermanent. The answer is given by the Shastras already. What we have to do as a sadhana is, through our experience, through our attitude, we are able to realize that particular answer ourselves. What is the answer? What is considered impermanent? According to the Shastras, or according to what our own experience also, everything in this world is impermanent. Everything in this world has got a shelf life, including our body. This we are able to realize. Some people might say, oh, the sun, moon and stars. But if you actually see, if you go and read astronomy, they would say how the Big Bang came, how before the Big Bang there was no sun, there was no earth, there was no... Everything has a beginning and an end. Everything in this world has got a beginning and an end. So nothing in this world is permanent. And is this body, when we talk about our body, is it permanent? Of course not. We would realize that. We don't need to see the destruction of the body to understand that the body is impermanent. Once, Pattinatha, a spiritual guru, those days in Tamil Nadu, when he actually went on the road, he went to the road and then he saw a group of people crying over a dead body. And he too started crying along with them. After some time they realized that who is this person who is now crying for this person. So they asked him why he is crying. Do you know the person who had passed away? Pattinatha said, no, I don't know the person who had passed away. Then why are you crying? He said, no, the bodies that are soon to be dead are crying over a body that is already dead. So I saw that and I am crying on seeing that. So this is kind of harsh truth. But that is the truth. So everybody has to die one day. Every body, not us. Every body has to die one day. And in our experience, we see many bodies that are born, they grow, then they decay, and then they die. So we are very clear that one day this body of ours shall also die. But just because knowing this, just by knowing this, are we able to get this jnana? Or do we even realize this? Do we even realize that one day we will actually join the list of all dead people? No. We somehow act, we talk, and we work as if we are going to be eternal. We always have long plans and all those things. We do not have this at the back of the mind. On the back of the mind, it's always like we are going to be eternal. And that is the power of Maya. This Viveka Shakti, this discrimination is hidden. It is not available for us. And when does this come to open? When one is able to realize this, Shastra says, or somebody says, how can I get Viveka? Okay, I understand. And sometimes I know, I know everybody is going to die, it's all temporary, I know this. So have I got Viveka? No, you don't have to, you haven't got Viveka. Because if your actions, if you are able to get Viveka, then you should have the next step, we will come to it later. We will find out how we can identify one has got Viveka. It's simple. How has one got Viveka? If they find everything in this world to be unimportant, then okay, anyway it's impermanent, it's unimportant for me. Then we can say we have fully got Viveka. So, when does one realize that? How can one realize that how can one get Viveka? Shastra says the only way to get Viveka is by leading a life of dharma. By leading a life of dharma, the Maya slowly gets uncovered. And slowly the person is able to realize Viveka. Slowly the person is able to see that the world is anitya. And slowly the person also realizes that there is a permanent one which needs to be attained. The world is not what I need to attain. That is what Arjuna has realized. Arjuna has realized that there is nothing in this world can remove his sorrow. The world is not what he wants. So he has realized that the impermanence of the world. So he hasn't realized what is the permanent one. But as we get Viveka, we will realize that there is a permanent one which needs to be attained. That particular knowledge dawns on us, and that is what is called as Viveka. Now we will go to the second qualification. After Viveka, we saw Viveka is discrimination. After that, it is Vairagya. Vairagya, we said that as dispassion. We called it as dispassion. This second qualification, this Vairagya, it is an important qualification. As I said, Vairagya in Tamil sometimes we use it for Pidivadam, being stubborn. If somebody is being very stubborn, they say, he's got Vairagya. Actually, that is not the correct definition of Vairagya. In Vedanta, Vairagya means dispassion. So what is meant by passion? So some people say, if you are asking me to be dispassionate, I lose the zest for life. I am not able, you are basically pulling the plug out of everything. You make me dull, you make me uninterested in things. No, that is not what we mean here. That means we haven't really understood what Shastras say. We haven't really given our ear properly. Passion means clinging to the world for security and support. Basically, it is kind of a psychological leaning. When I want to do something, I do it for my happiness, no doubt about it. But I am also looking for, in fact, I am looking for acknowledgement from the world. I want people to admire, I want people to respect me, I want people to celebrate me, I want people to know me, all those things. I look upon, I have a psychological clinging on to this world. And what is passion? Using the world for transactions is not passion. Using the world for a sense of enjoyment, for bhoga, using the world for bhoga is passion. So We say Boha Rahitam, Boha Icha Rahitam is that kind of mental state is called as passion or Ragaha. When we look into this world, we always see what can make me happy. Who can make me happy? I want to be only with people who can make me happy. I want to be surrounded with only things that can make me happy. Which means what? The others are making me, people around me are making me happy. Things around me are making me happy. If things around me can make me happy, there will be always things around me that cannot make me happy, that can make me sad. If there are people who can make me happy, then there are people who can make me sad as well. Or the same person who is making me happy today can make me sad tomorrow. So basically we are using the world, or we are clinging on to this world for our security and support. For our enjoyment, we think that the world is giving us. People around me are giving, possessions are giving to me. So what is Vairagya? Vairagya is a mind that is matured not to seek pleasure from things around me. A mind that is matured not to seek pleasure or joy from people around it. A mind that is using the world only for transactions. And Arjuna showed that in the Slokas also, that he has that amount of Vairagya. He was ready to give up. He was not willing to see the world as a Bhoga. He was willing to give up everything and be in the forest. This Vairagya is very difficult. Viveka itself is a big mountain to climb. But once we attain Viveka, then we hit an even higher mountain called Vairagya. Vairagya is not an overnight happening. Not that we listen to Vairagya today, tomorrow onwards we become Vairagis. No. Vairagya has to get over, we have to get it over a period of time. How would I know whether I've got Vairagya or not? When I do not get attached to any kind of sensory pleasures. I need this for my happiness. If I don't have this feeling, then I have attained Vairagya. Be ragasya bhavaha vairagya. There shouldn't be any attachment. Ragaha means attachment. I should not have any attachment. So how was Viveka and Vairagya related? Viveka makes us differentiate between Nityam and Anityam. What is eternal and what is ephemeral. So what is Vairagya? The Vairagya is basically the attitude, the bhavana that I should have on the Anitya Vastu. So I am able to first differentiate what is Nitya and Anitya. And the attitude that I need to have on the Anitya Vastu is called Vairagya. And what is the attitude that I should have? No attachment. So even though my intellect says that all these objects around me are Anityam, I know for sure that everything around me is Anityam. Either they will leave me or I will leave them. As in the body will leave it. But I am still not able to get Vairagya on those. Because it requires special effort. For example, ice cream, is it Nityam or Anityam? Ice cream, we don't need to do a big vichara. In 30 minutes, ice cream ceases to be an ice cream. And in 4 hours, it does not even exist in our body. We all know that it is Anityam. We also know that it can give us happiness only for a limited period of time. And Although it is anityam, our emotions still go behind it, go there, go for it, because we think it can give us happiness, and it can give me happiness temporarily, so my mind keeps going towards that again and again. What is Vairagya? Vairagya to say that I do not need that for my happiness. Some people might say, I have Vairagya on something, for example, on objects that do not give them happiness. But for that, we do not need to do any special effort. We do not need to take any special effort. They say, I know that this is anityam and I don't have any vairagya, I don't have any attachment on it. But that is because it does not give you happiness. What is vairagya? Vairagya is an attitude of non-attachment on things that you think will make you happy. What Ishvara has done is basically, through his Maya Shakti, has mixed Sukham. Sukham is happiness. He has mixed Sukham with all the Anitya Vastus. So, although it is Anityam, the Maya does not allow us to come out of it. We are very clear that this is temporary, this is fleeting, but our mind is not able to overcome that bhoga feeling, that I want to experience sensory pleasure out of it. And once we have this, once we see something as a bhoga vastu and we get too attached to it, we get addicted to it, and when we get addicted to it, some people destroy their life, some people even lose their life because of their inability to overcome this attachment. And some people may have Viveka, but Viveka does not translate always into Vairagya. See, a doctor clearly understands that smoking is injurious to health. Who else but the doctor can say that? Doctor can clearly say that, even better than a common man. But there are many doctors who are addicted to smoking. The same way, just because I have Vairagya doesn't mean I can get Viveka. Just because I have Viveka doesn't mean I have Vairagya. So Anitya Vastu, it gives me bhogam, but it gives me only Anitya bhogam. A temporary object gives me temporary happiness. And this temporary happiness, what does it do? It gives me a false security. It gives me a false security that when I am receiving the happiness, I take it that it can give me permanent happiness. And therefore, at the time when it is giving me happiness, I am not able to give up. I am not able to relinquish. I am not able to do tyaga. I am not able to do a renunciation. But if I am able to give up, I am able to relinquish that, I am able to renounce that, that is called as Vairagya. See, everything in this world is temporary. Swamiji says, the world is full of beauty, novelty and variety. The world has got variety, various, if you take flower, it's got different flowers. If you take within rose, there are multiple different types of rose. Within one type of rose, there are multiple colors. So there is variety. And there is novelty. Every day we get new gadgets. There is not novelty. There is beauty. Of course, people make the city beautiful, the gardens beautiful, all those things. There is beauty, there is novelty, and there is variety. But the world lacks stability. So we have to understand that. So using the world for what it can. For example, using the world for, our education. or using the world, or using the world to be a place where we can actually serve others. That is not called passion. But leaning on to the world for security, leaning on to the world for support, leaning on to the world for my permanent happiness, leaning on to this world psychologically, that is called as passion. So what is dispassion? What is vairagya? Having understood that the world cannot be relied upon, security and support, which is viveka. Once we have this clarity that this world cannot be relied upon for security and support, gradually withdrawing from this world, gradually stop leaning on this world, saying, for my mental happiness, for my mental calmness, for my mental satisfaction, stop relying on the world for that, slowly is called as dispassion. It is called as vairagya. Vairagya does not mean veruppu, does not mean hatred, does not mean aversion. We are not saying run away from the worldly things. You can say, all this world, the world is full of asukam, and the world is full of anityam, so run away. No, that is not what we say. We cannot run away from this world. We cannot reject this world. But when I need emotional support, when I need mental peace, I do not rely on this world. So vairagya cannot come, as I said, immediately. It will take a period of time. How do we get vairagya? Through experience. Every time we get an experience, especially an unpleasant experience, we have to take a lesson out of it. That is where we will have to build our vairagya. If we get a sorrow, if we get in our life, there are many instances where we have sorrow, we get sad. If we are not able to make use of it to build our vairagya, then that sorrow or pain is not worth it. It's actually, we are letting it go waste. Every time we get sorrow, we get pain, we have to build our vairagya. That is why it says, when Kunti in Mahabharata, when Bhagavan actually, after the war, when Bhagavan left the Pandavas, he bid goodbye to Kunti and he said, I am leaving. And he asked Kunti what she wants. And Kunti said, give me a lot of sorrow, grief. Because only then I come to realize you. Only then I remember you. And therefore give me a lot of sorrow give me a lot of grief so that I can remember you always. There is also a song, right? Tumbappudattil ittu thooyavanakki vittai. Only the sorrow can make us pure. It's just like, the gold. It needs to be put under fire. Only then it becomes pure. Similarly, sorrow or grief are actually experiences that Bhagavan gives us for us to actually spiritually progress. And we have to make use of it. And vairagya is a state of mind. And that vairagya has to come after viveka. Any vairagya that comes before viveka, it won't last long. Because we do not have the conviction that the world or the person or the object or the relation is impermanent. Unless I have that conviction, that vairagya will not stay. That's why when somebody close to us, when they pass away, we get into a grief, we get into a we become sad. We might get Vairagya for some time, but after a few hours, one coffee or one meal afterwards, that Vairagya will be gone. We will soon be finding fault in the coffee that was served or in the food that was served. Because why? Because this Vairagya has not come out of that Viveka. So Vairagya has to necessarily, to stay longer, has to come out of Viveka. But it also, one more thing that has to be clarified is, Viveka by itself cannot give Vairagya. Vairagya has to come out of practice. It has to come out of reflection. Every time we have to reflect. Am I getting addicted to this? Am I getting attached to this? Do I let others dictate how my mind has to be? So it has to come, it comes by strengthening our understanding of Viveka. One thing we have to keep saying to ourselves is, it is not worth it. Oh, this person is talking about me. Should I get unhappy? It's not worth it. Oh, this person, this thing, I'm not able to get it. I so love it, I'm not able to get it. Not worth it. It's okay. That's fine. So we have to start reducing our desires on impermanent things. But then there is always this desire, there is always this passion. Where should I put it? It says, put your desire on the permanent entity. Put your action to attain that permanent entity. So what is Vairagya? By renouncing the need to seek pleasure, to seek happiness from all the Bhagavastu. Bhagavastu includes sense objects, which includes objects, possessions, relations, people. By renouncing the need to seek happiness from those things. So Viveka shows us as Nitya and Anityam. The Vairagya is the attitude that we need to have on the Anitya Vastu. The attitude that we need to have on the Nitya Vastu is called Mumukshutvam, which is the third qualification, which we will see in the next class. Because Ashish Ji, you have raised your hand. Any question?
Yeah, Guruji, thank you. Sorry, a quick one actually. When you mentioned that we may have Vivek, but that doesn't mean we will have Vairagya. Is the lack of Vairagya leading from Mumukshutvam by any chance?
Sorry?
We do not have the Mumukshutvam, we do not have the commitment to the attainment of the ultimate objective. That's why we are not able to develop Vairagya.
That is one reason, but the other reason is also that we are still not convinced that the object is not going to give me temporary happiness. We believe that the object is going to give me long-lasting happiness. We always believe that we always have this Maya will cover it. So every time, see, anything that can give happiness in this world is also capable of giving sadness. The problem for us is we always look for seeking happiness. The moment the sadness comes, we are not able to take it, but at the same time, a few months later, if the same object is going to give us happiness, we again go for it. We again fall for it. The question is, as far as I know, as long as I know that the same object can give me both happiness and sadness, and I start taking happiness and sadness in the same equanimity, being equanimous, it will help me get Vairagya. So one way to get Vairagya is converting all our necessities into luxuries. Slowly, whatever you think is your necessity, try converting them into luxury. As if it is there, I am happy. If it is not there, I am also okay. That way we will be able to develop Vairagya. Of course, Of course, mumukshutvam, not having enough desire, could be a reason why we are not having vairagya. But as I said, these go hand in hand. The moment the mind is away from, as long as we are in the spiritual path, the moment the mind is away from all the spiritual, sensory objects, the mind will be looking to place our attachment, our desires onto something. The mind is such that it cannot remain unattached. It has to get attached to something. So the more we are in the spiritual path, if we are able to remove the attachment from the sensory objects, the attachment will all go towards Ishvara, Bhagavan, Moksham. It will go towards Shastram, Guru, all those places, all those good things. And from there we will be able to build our mumukshutva. Any other questions or comments? If not, again we'll see in the next. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namah.